Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today we are going to be looking at the Devil Wears Prada Color Decay Deluxe Edition. So, like I say, we're back in the Devil Wears Prada camp, and this time, instead of doing the EPs, I thought I'd look at a full album. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, we have a deluxe edition of the Color Decay album, which has a runtime of 1 hour and 18 minutes for 22 songs. So, since I didn't, really delve into who the Devil Wears Prada is for the dual EP episode, which I don't generally tend to do, we're going to do that here with this little thing. So, for those of you that aren't, in the know with the Devil Wears Prada, they are an American metalcore group from, I believe, the Dayton, Ohio area. And they formed all the way back in 2005 and are still going strong today in 2023. Which is a long time for a metal band, because most bands, like even fucking successful ones, tend to give it up after a while, So at one point, they were apparently listed as a Christian metalcore group, and the band consists of Mike. Now, I know I'm going to butcher this, but we're going to say Ranica or Francia, I'm not sure, on vocals, and it says additional guitars on the thing that I found. We've got Jeremy DePoister on rhythm guitars and clean vocals. Kyle Cypress apparently is the lead guitar and does backing vocals. We have Mason, I think it's Nagy, on bass. Jonathan Goering on keyboards and backing vocals, and lastly Giuseppe Capalupo on drums. And again, if I butchered any of those or pronounced them wrong, I do apologise. I am fucking terrible with names. And the lineup has been mostly the same throughout their, run time. But James Bainey, I believe, was the only person who I could find online that it said had left the band. Also, apologies for the lighting. It was sunny a second ago, and now all of a sudden it's just gone dark as a dog's guts outside. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, moving on to the discography portion now. I'm going to try to not take too long with this, because the script is about 20 and a quarter pages long, so this could be a long video, but I am going to try to get through it as quickly as I can for you guys. So, discography. The discography to date has about 8 albums, 1 live album, and 3 EPs, and 1 demo. Theirs is a very extensive discography at that. Like I said, we have their demo, which was called Patterns of a Horizon, dropped in 2005. We then had their albums, which were Dear Love, A Beautiful Discord in 2006, Plagues in 2007, with Roots Above and Branches Below in 2009, Dead Throne in 2011, 818 in 2013, Transit Blues in 2016, The Act in 2019, Color Decay in 2022, and Color Decay the Deluxe Edition in 2023. The EPs obviously are Zombie, which I have reviewed, which dropped in 2010. Their Space EP, which dropped in 2015, and Zombie 2, which came out in 2021. They also featured on the Punk Goes Crunk compilation album, as well as the 2008, 2009, 2011, and 2014 Warped Tour compilation albums. Now that's all out of the way. Let's get into this expansive album, starting off with track number 1 on disc 1, which is the regular album, Exhibition. So this runs for about 3 minutes and 58 seconds, I believe, and the song has a slight build until verse 1, which kicks in, and it's super short, flows very quickly into Mike's pre-chorus, which again flows then into the chorus very swiftly of "Welcome to the way down, keep on selling me a way out, another offer of a faultless life." Now, but I think I'll just keep it inside, stitch it up and wear it with pride. Sorry, I have just woken the fuck up, so bear with me. This whole thing up here is still warming up. And the easy to listen flow carries on throughout the track's runtime, even throwing in a short tasty little breakdown too. It is a very, very solid opening track. Okay, so moving on, we have track 2, which is Salt, and this is about 3.5 minutes long. And apparently, from what I was looking at online, this song deals with the band's feelings of stagnation and how to move forward with it. So we get a 10-second intro before verse 1 starts, sung by Jeremy, who is the clean vocalist. And I believe this flows effortlessly into a really great pre-chorus / chorus combo flow of "Some days I think I'm afraid of my shadow. I show up to fight at all the wrong battles, and I don't think my mind will be right till I pour the salt into the wound. Let the rain wash over you. If everything I said was true, then why am I paralyzed?" And I can personally relate to some things here, like the line about "I show up to fight at all the wrong battles," because it's like, you know, some days when I feel like everyone can relate to this, like when you get like one of those days where you just don't want to do anything, and then you kind of just let that get on top of you. Whereas you could be having a good day, and then there'll be like something you don't really need to worry about, and then you'll again show up to that battle, and you end up worrying about that. And you know, when you don't deal with the stuff that needs dealing with, and you deal with the things that don't need dealing with too much, it can grind you down quickly. And you know, it all ties back to that feeling of, like I said, the band stagnating. Again, with people, I assume there's probably people out there that can relate to that with their jobs and stuff like that. So, you know, it's something that everybody goes through in their life. You've probably got YouTubers out there that feel that way. You've probably got, I don't know, Twitch streamers that feel that way. So it's a very relatable subject, I feel like. And they've put that all together in one hell of a solid overall track. So moving on now, we have track number 3, which is Watchtower, and this is quite a short one, 2 minutes 48. The lyrics and pacing with the drum work, the guitar noises that they add in, all sound like something that could have easily gone on to the Zombie EPs. It's short with enough of a runtime to jam out to though, but other than that, I didn't really feel like there was anything I needed to picture picture, or not picture, but like pick out and put down and specifically bring to your attention. It's just a good track. And like I said, it definitely felt like it had the potential to be on a Zombie 1, Zombie 2 EP thing, you know. So moving on now, we have track number 4, which is Noise. And this is 3 minutes and 43 seconds long. We pick up right with the chorus at the start here, instead of a verse, which like they normally do. The guitar on this track feels very old school, paired with Mike and Jeremy's vocals and the solid drum work. It's a bloody good listen, and it has that smooth transition, as always with these guys, between the chorus, verse, and vocals on the breakdown, where it builds with each rep of the lines and the layering and the cleans over the harmonic cleans. It is just liquid gold to your ears. So, with that being said, we then do have track number 5, which is Broken. And this one runs for 3 minutes and 49 seconds. I think it could be 3 minutes 50. But this has a more slow, somber start with low-key guitars and hushed cleans, with lines like, "I hate when I get left alone. I'm sure that all these calls are getting old. A short drive, just get me home. The cost is nowhere near what I owe." The tone has this easy to enjoy flow, but also gives sing-along potential too. And when you also have lines of, "I know I've got my problems," it's probably going to be relatable for some people out there listening to it. It's definitely a track full of emotion and feels, and the more you listen to it, the more you pick up on other things. And this is something I find quite good with Mike and Jeremy, is they both have a way of harnessing emotion in their voice compared to some people. Like, you'll see me bring this up in a few songs later on in the album, but Mike, especially on like more emotional tracks and stuff that they want to get like a specific feeling out of the listener, Mike will almost do this slightly more raw scream compared to like his slightly more dialed back sort of like middle ground screams that he does. It's very cool. And again, like I said, Broken is easily one of my favourite tracks just in general from this band. So moving on, we have track 6, which is Sacrifice. This is 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and the opening verse opens this track up ideally here. But the real star of this song is the chorus, which is a catchy earworm, and I fucking hate how often it gets stuck in my head. I swear that I'm not paranoid. I let it in as if I had a choice. Just bury me in red. I don't want another fight. Push me off the edge and I can be your sacrifice. And Jeremy and Mike's vocal combination works so well with, again, the layering here and there. So like Jeremy will be doing like the actual singing, and then you'll have Mike's vocals slightly in the background. Almost sounds like they put a little bit of reverberation on there as well sometimes, just to give it that extra effect. And it really works. And then when you pair this with the outro of Mike's vocals going, "You dug in deeper with that same knife repeatedly," It's just great, honestly. They definitely put a lot of effort into this album. You can feel it. Each song so far, you just get the, because normally, right, like when you have an album, sometimes you'll have like 4 or 5 gems, a couple weak songs, and then you'll round it off with a couple bangers. But one thing I've tend to find with the Devil Wears Prada is their albums are all just banger after banger after banger after banger. Like, you don't generally tend to get a bad song from these guys. I think, you know, they're the type of people that if a song came out shit, they probably wouldn't put it on the album. They do seem very passionate about what they do, which sometimes that feeling can easily be lost in the music industry, and people will just put any old thing out. So to see a band that has this passion, this drive, and willing to make such phenomenal albums every time, even their EPs, like for a collection of 4 or 5 songs that fucking just smash it out of the park and hit a home run, you know? There's not many people that do that. So protect the Devil Wears Prada at all costs, you know? Moving on, we have track 7 anyway, which is Trapped. This one is about 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and here we have a track that delves into mental health and more explicitly panic attacks, from what I found online, which they tend to describe the whole panic attack feeling in the chorus. So the vibe obviously is kind of somber, with Mike's vocals adding in the almost like an emotional desperation, or like an outcry, I would say. Obviously Jeremy doing the brilliant chorus, which we see lines like, does it feel like a heart attack, no way out and no way back? And one of my favourite lines, I hate that you're being trapped by your issues, but I am here with you. Which is a good reminder that there is always someone out there that will be there to help you no matter what you're going through. Which I think some people do tend to forget, like if you're having a panic attack, if your mental health is going down the shitter, there is always probably going to be someone out there that you can hit up on your phone, or fucking walk down the road and see, and have a cup of tea with the bugger and be like, yo, I need a friend right now, you know? And this song's a good reminder of that. Overall, like I say, it's a great time. It's an emotional track. It's phenomenally put together. The lyrics are so good. I probably should have pulled out a few more other than what I did, but I do tend to go into a bit more detail with some of the other songs and pull out like full choruses. So we will move on. And we are going to be looking at track number 8 now, which has a runtime of 4 minutes and is called Time. This particular song is a look into what I could see online. It says the human relationship with time and how it passes. The band even said in a press thing that I found a clip of, it can feel so fast or too slow, but it's never on our side. That sentiment mixed with one of our heaviest riffs on the record and an industrial, almost EDM format makes this a standout. The opening chorus feels more like a verse here, as verse 1 is quite literally only 2 lines, and again, it is a catchy earworm chorus on this album, this fucking track. We'll get there eventually. Along with this, the bridge of time's moving like lightning, time shifts like a glacier, which gets repeated a couple of times, is kind of cool, because you do get that feeling like it's like weird nowadays. Like, the days go by so fucking slowly, but then the years seem to go by like lightning. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, fuck me, it feels like only a couple years ago that I was back in college, you know. It's so weird how things just go. Like, it is insane. But I don't really see any EDM-esque format or inspiration personally in this song, so I don't really know 100% what they're talking about here. But it's still a good song nonetheless. So now we have track number 9, which is called 25 and is about 3 minutes and 48 seconds long. Apparently, from what I was reading, this track is about a broken relationship between Mike and his significant other, and it has him reminiscing about when they first met and how he would like to relive those times and what it was like back then for them. So obviously this is going to be quite a emotion-filled track. This is definitely going to be more Mike's like vocals on this one, as you would expect. Have a sip of my drink before I go into this. So, verse 1 definitely feels raw and emotional, especially when you pair it with this stripped back instrumental behind it to start with. Lines like, "In pieces in a separate room. By then I had lost my voice. It was over. I couldn't cope or offer up any more time. When was the last laugh we had, like when we were 25? It's over. What I'd hoped for couldn't stand being by my side." And these feelings keep running throughout the short chorus and the other verses. The instrumental break picks the energy up for the home stretch and closing out the song, but overall it is just a emotional, raw, very reminiscing track, and I feel like you've definitely got to have some balls as an artist to be willing to put your heart on the page like that. And not everyone would want their business out there, I guess, like that. And to see someone like Mike doing it is kind of cool. He definitely seems like a very open chap from what I've read about him online and what you see about like some of the stuff that he brings into the like writing and things like this. Definitely a very, very heartfelt track. So moving on, we're going to look at track 10, which is Fire, and this is about 3 minutes and 36 seconds long. This track is mainly Jeremy with Mike as backup vocals here and there, and it's a very slow, somber, stripped back track. Almost has this ballady, anthemic, almost vibe. I actually found myself getting lost in the track, and it was kind of over before I'd even written a word, and I had to go back and listen to it again and like actually pay attention and like write down the things I wanted to write down. But yeah, it's certainly one I recommend listening to, even though it didn't, spoiler alert, it didn't make my top 5, but it is a fucking tune. So from there we have track 11, which is Hallucinate, which has a runtime of 3 minutes and 33 seconds, and this is the penultimate song on disc 1 / the regular album of Colour Decay. And according to something I read about this song online, one of the members read a book called The Morning Star, which is all about like perspectives of one of them. And one of the characters in this book apparently is a nurse who deals with a patient who has brain tumor, and that expands, pressing on the brain, leading to horrific hallucinations. And apparently the instrumental for this is also something that is left over from Zombie 2. So it has more of an industrial, fast-paced, aggressive vibe. I don't know, obviously, how true all of that is. Like I said, I did find this online, but the instrumental definitely did give me Zombie 2 vibes before I'd even found that. So yeah. Reminds me a lot. It's more experimental, it's kind of aggressive. So pairing it with the vocals and the delivery on this track and the repeating lyrics of, I think it was like, something about a castle or a hallway and hallucinate, definitely makes for an interesting track for sure. I didn't actually go into pulling out any of the lyrics from this one because it was kind of, it was just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not repetitive. Very weird. I guess, like, it's like I said, there would be stuff and then it'd just go like, I think it's like Black Hallway Hallucinate or something like that. And it's weird. It's a very different track. Well put together, but very weird. So with that being said, we are on to track 12, which is called Cancer. This runs for about 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and this is a heavy track emotionally. I believe I read online that Jonathan, which was the keyboardist for the band, wrote this when a hero of his passed away, and his initial thoughts were like, I hope it's a fucking illness and not suicide or overdose, which, as music fans, we all know it's way too prevalent in the industry, with us losing industry greats like fucking Chester and whatnot to mental health and suicide. And then we have other people like, for example, Kyle Pavone from We Came as Romans, who we lost to fucking overdose and stuff like that. So it is way too common in the music industry. But yeah, I would say the whole thing of going, I hope it's cancer, is a tad fucking clunky. Like, yeah, it's... At first I would have used the word distasteful, but the song has grown on me more and more with each listen, so I won't go and say that, because I understand what they're trying to get through. Like I said, the song opens with, how routine it feels like I fell through the floor, crushed by another passing, and it's all happened before. Like I said, this is the verse that opens the track, and it definitely gives you a kind of a preparation for what you're going into. The chorus definitely hits hard with, I hope that it's cancer and not something else, because I don't need any more things that I don't want to talk about. Obviously, verse 2 then goes into question the chorus of, why would someone want to think such an odd thing, and why would you wish cancer upon someone? But I do think it's more of a song that you need to hear yourself to understand the emotion and the words behind it. Because even as a fan, hearing about someone that you've idolized or looked up to or respected, and hearing that they've died, and not knowing initially how that's happened, you kind of always get that dreading, like, shit, did they take their life? Like, was it drugs? And sometimes, obviously, the reality of it can be like a fucking gut punch, you know, and it does end up being one of those awful fucking things. Except, I know wrestling fans recently went through it with, you can't see the posters, but I've got like 2 Bray Wyatt posters and his mask up there. And obviously he passed away and recently, like a couple weeks ago. And that was fucking, like, I remember seeing that tweet and that was like I just got kicked in the balls. Yeah. And again, me and my friends were like, Christ, fucking hell, like, I hope it wasn't anything bad. Because there had been reports that he had been struggling with mental health and illnesses and stuff like that, and come to find out it was a heart attack that he passed away from, like, in his sleep. So yeah, it's very relatable. Like, I can understand the sentiment behind the song, I can understand the emotion behind the song. I just feel like maybe you could have chose something other than cancer. I know obviously it kind of flows better for the song, but yeah, as anyone would tell you, I've seen what cancer can do to people and I fucking won't wish that on anyone. So, yeah. So, with that somber note, we do move on to disc 2, which is the deluxe edition and the extras, I guess. So, track 13, Reaching. This is 3 minutes and 25 seconds. This track is definitely solid, but it doesn't quite have the same hit vibes, I guess. Like, it has a good message of feeling alone or like a waste of time, but still reaching out to others. But for some reason, I didn't quite feel as grabbed and into it as I was with some of the other songs. But I just cannot put my finger on why this song didn't grab me that way. Which is weird. Like I said, other people, it probably will be very good, very, you know, like, shit, that is a standout track. But I don't know. I wish I could tell you why I'm not 100% keen on it, but buggered if I know. Then we move on to track 14, which is Ignorance, and this is 3 minutes and 14 seconds, and this is easily the better of the 2 B-sides, in my opinion. The pre-chorus of "Don't say all that goes well will come to an end" before the chorus, which is more catchy and flowy than Reaching for me, which is "Help me, I need to get past this. I crave innocence. I wish I could say that it's bliss, but it's better than this. Ignorance." As well as this, I kind of feel the instrumental of this is superb and a bit more going on, and it definitely feels like it has that brilliant, almost hit-like quality vibe, like the rest of the first part of the album did, and it definitely could have easily fitted in there. So, moving on, we have track 15, which is Salt, the acoustic version, 3 minutes 25 seconds. The acoustic version of this song is equally just as solid as the original, and unlike some bands, Mike still does his harsher vocals into the song for that extra more raw, dramatic flair here and there, and it works. Track 16 is Broken, the acoustic version, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And weirdly, I almost think this song's acoustic version is almost a little bit more fitting, and it really lends itself a bit more to the lyrics and the the more somber content of it a lot. And if you're going to check it out, I definitely recommend listening to Broken and then Broken the acoustic version side by side and seeing which you prefer. Track 17 sees us moving into Sacrifice, which is acoustic, 3 minutes and 16. And one thing you will notice with this deluxe album is there is a lot of focus on salt and sacrifice, I believe. Like I said, this was also a solid shout for the acoustic treatment. Again, it translates over really well. It plays, pardon me, solidly. There's nothing I can fault with it. Track 18 sees us getting the acoustic version of Cancer, which is 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And as if this track couldn't get any more fucking somber. But holy shit, this is exactly what that does. It takes that already somber song and it turns the somberness all the way up to fucking like 11. But yeah. Track 19 is Watchtower live in Anaheim, 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Personally, right, I'm not a big fan of recorded versions of live songs because you get the crowd noise, the crowd participation, you have the band talking, you know, bad mic quality sometimes. But this is not a bad version. Like, Jeremy's vocals are clear and crisp and solid. Occasionally Mike's vocals are a little less clear and a tad muddy, but they're still quite powerful nonetheless. Track 20 is Salt live in Pittsburgh, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. This was also a good quality live version. Not too much to say here, honestly. You do have like a little bit of crowd participation and chatting to the crowd at the start, but not for too long. So yeah, there's nothing really to complain about. Then we have track 21, which is Sacrifice, the Ray Volp remix, which is 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And boy, remix is kind of low key until the 1 minute 20 mark. Then it goes insane with this electro dance, techno-esque dubstep drop. And it's insane that how he kind of throws me back to back when like Skrillex and other artists like that were all the rage back in the day. Definitely a good remix. And then the final song on this album, closing out, is Salt, the Fairlane remix, with 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And this is a lot less hardcore with the drops and is very much more of a vibey remix. Like the verses, etc. aren't heavily altered. It kind of dials it up on the drums and guitar and just adds effects to that to make them sound a bit louder, if anything, which kind of works. Yeah. But then it's like after the choruses, it kicks into gear, like the drops. The best drop for me personally was near the 2 minutes and 50 second region, I believe. Yeah, other than that, both of these remixes were very good, very decent. I don't know if I would have chosen different songs to hear a remix, but yeah, I enjoyed them. So, my final thoughts. The base album / disc one was superb. I couldn't really find any faults, but I do think, as I said previously, the song Cancer, as much as I understand the meaning and the story behind it, and the story behind the lyrics, I do think maybe the whole "I hope it's Cancer" line is a tad clunky. But like I said, after the few initial listens, you kind of tone it out anyway, and you get used to it, so it's nothing too bad. With this too, I did enjoy the acoustic versions, and if they did a full album of acoustic versions of songs, I would definitely be diving into that immediately, because these dudes just have fucking phenomenal voices, and it lends itself really well to the acoustic setup and the regular like metalcore sound. So they are just a fucking bag of tricks, you know. If I could change one thing, I would have removed the 2 live songs for me personally. Even though I did say they were good, I would remove them and have 2 more remixes, because I feel like they would have a bit more replayability and enjoyability as time goes on instead of the live songs. But that's just me personally. Obviously, I know other people probably preferred the live stuff and didn't like the remixes, and some people may not have liked either of them and would have wished that they did 4 more acoustic songs. So, you know, it's all personal preference at the end of the day. So, yeah. For me, I would say that as a whole package, disc 1 being the regular album, disc 2 being the thing, I would probably give this a solid... I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. Like, there is not a single bad song on the album. Like I said, even the weakest songs are still enjoyable. There's no features that take away from it. There's no janky songs. There's no jarring transitions. Every song moves smoothly into one another. It is just, yeah, it's really well put together, and it is almost, I would say, a masterclass on how to craft an album. So with that being said, my top 5. What are my top 5 tracks that encompass track 1 to track 22 for you to check out if you're not sure if this album's for you? So we're going to start with 1 and go to 5. So number 1, I would say Ignorance, off of the deluxe part. Easily one of the best songs, and probably, in my opinion, should have been on the main album. Then we're going to have Salt, because of the catchy chorus and just the nature of it. And then for me, track 3, or the third song, is Broken. Again, I just vibed with that song's like message a lot, and I found it very relatable. For me as well, track 4 on, well, not track 4, but like number 4 on my top 4 is 25. Like I said, it takes a lot for someone to kind of put their heart on the page and get what they need to get off their chest, and then some people wouldn't even be willing to put it on an album. So for that, I definitely respect them for doing it, and I think it is definitely one of the standout tracks on this album. So what is track number 5? Well, that would have to be Sacrifice, the Ray Volp remix. And the only reason I put that there is because I believe it is one of the better songs on the album, at least on the deluxe album. So yeah, it definitely needs a check out, especially if you're like I said, 3 of the main songs off of the disc 1 of the album are there, and so I've got 2 from disc 2. I feel like that makes a bit more sense. So with that being said, that is the album review done. So I will be seeing you in the next video, which will be a discussion piece video on if themed bands and gimmick bands are good fun or cringy, annoying and overdone. So I will see you all in the next video, and just please remember to stay safe out there, and if you are struggling with your mental health, reach out to someone. Love you. Bye.